Yeah, no problem.
Right, so we can share the screen, your screen, and then we'll go off, and then you can deliver. Okay.
Yes, thank you. So let me just get into screen sharing. Is that something that you do, Harriet, or do I need to? Can you see the first slide?
I have made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen. Let me just double check. Yeah, you should be able to share.
Share content, screen, everything on screen. One moment, start broadcast. 3, 2, 1, begin. That was a cute little intro to sharing. Okay, can you see a bit of information there about the Upper Norwood Library Hub Trust?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, so this will just go over a bit of background, and yeah, we are a multi-purpose community and performance arts space in Crystal Palace, and we formed in 2012 through community fundraising, and the initiative was to save the library and bring better services to community groups through engagement on our programming, outreach programs, the types of organisations we were connecting and working with. So we've got some of that with ESOL, Women's Aid Project, and Citizens Advice Bureau. And I've been with the organisation for 4 years now, and we have been running BESN, the Big Energy Saving Network, for 4 years. And through lockdown, we provided our service through online channels and in a more sort of unique and personalised way, really, with a lot of things going online and running workshops as well as health and wellbeing activities. And yeah, we managed to sustain our income and retain our jobs and keep the community hub going. So yeah, where we are now is we've got a new director on board, a new manager, a new programmer, and yeah, we're taking our mission and vision to a new level now, and hopefully the relationship that we've begun doesn't end here. And with our big energy saving network training program and information that I'm providing now, I'm going to go over a few points which you can see on the screen: energy saving in the home, switching energy suppliers, how to do it in a safe and Ofgem-accredited way, and how to understand tariffs and bills, how to make sure you are in receipt of all grants and schemes and benefits, and what to do when things go wrong. And BESN came about because of the inequalities and the difficulties with the cost of living and the rise in fuel poverty, and individuals not being able to meet their household needs, typically around energy. And here we can see some causes of fuel poverty, and I'll go over the EPC ratings on the next slides, and I'll explain how that works if you are a homeowner or if you are in social or council housing, because the way that you can address the EPC again depends on circumstances and conditions. And when we talk about fuel poverty, we're looking at income, we're looking at why energy bills are high, if homes are energy inefficient, and consumer use and behaviours at home. And here we've got a chart to explain sort of poverty lines and low incomes and household situations and compositions. And you can go in a bit further with your own household, what fluctuates, if you have a consistent amount of people living with you, or if it changes throughout the year, that will also affect, you know, your outgoings, your energy bills. So it's really worth seeing where you're at on this table here, and understanding where you're starting from when we talk about fuel poverty and low incomes. And on this slide, we are addressing where losses occur in the home. And as you can see, a high percentage, 35%, comes from walls, 25% windows and doors, 25% roof and attic, and 15% from our floors. And on the right side, we can see the EPC certificate, and anything that's below D, so E, F, G, you are in an energy insufficient house, and there are things and strategies that you can take to address that and improve your situation. Some of that comes through government grants and schemes to make homes more energy efficient, and some of that will come through the things you can take on yourself at home to try and address that and move it to an A, B, C, ideally a D, which is middle range. Health and cold homes. Lots of people don't have thermometers at home, and we do encourage households to have a thermometer in their living rooms, in their home, just so they can see what their average temperatures are, and anything under 16 degrees Celsius is going to have a knock-on effect on people's health. And if they're already struggling with any diseases or asthma or psoriasis, arthritis, things like that, anything under 16 degrees is going to make it harder for them. And ideally, you're looking at 18 to 21 as a minimal temperature for households to stay healthy, and their tenants to stay, you know, on the good end of their welfare, without things having a knock-on effect in other areas of their personal health. Do we have any questions at the moment? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And once we've discussed causes of cold homes and the knock-on effect it can have on your health, the other areas that are associated with fuel poverty as well, we'll address that later. So debt or depression, and issues with relationships, and you know, there are services to help people manage, as you're probably aware, for your own organisation, with the types of areas that you work in as well. And when we talk about poorly heated rooms, we're looking at if it's structural issues or if it's behaviour. Now, an example I can give you is in winter, when it's very hard to dry clothes quickly or outside, and you've got a large family of, say, 4, 5 members, and you're doing lots of washing, that can generally start to create mold and damp inside. And without the ventilation, so in order to stop any condensation growing up on cold surfaces, you generally have to leave a window open. And in winter, most people don't like to do that because they've got the heating on. They don't want the heat to escape out of the windows, and pay for energy services that are just basically going out the door. So one advice we can give consumers is to use a dehumidifier, and that will help take out the moisture that's creating mold or black spores, or causing wallpaper to peel off, or leaving water residue on surfaces. So that's one angle of tackling condensation and drying clothes at home, indoors in winter. And again, just understanding the respiratory complications that come with mold and how it is bad for your health, and the links to chronic fatigue syndrome there. And I think a lot of people feel unable to know what to do. And for us this year, we've seen a huge increase with YouTube tutorials. Now, it doesn't seem like the best place to refer people to, but there are a lot of companies like the National Energy Action Group that have some really good videos. Even some of the councils, Lambeth Council, for example, have some really good videos to help households address things like condensation, drafts, how to make sure your white goods are running efficiently. So again, I can share that at the end, those kind of links, and through sending the presentation itself, you'll also have an active link to that. That's quite a good way to engage people and to show people how to do it themselves at home when we address, cold homes and causes. And I've touched on this a little bit about the health conditions associated with cold homes. And we can see there, hypertension, heart disease, asthma, poor mental health, depression. And I think, when you look at the statistics around winter deaths, especially for people over 75 or those at a sort of priority service age, then the stats and figures around that, and it's astounding really, the amount of people that can die because of a cold home. Causes of high bills here on this slide. So again, we can see there an average bill there for a family household. And I think a lot of households maybe don't understand their bills, how to understand their tariffs. For example, there are day rates and night rates, and if there have ever been any discrepancies in what they've been paying, to making sure they're paying the right rates at the right time and what their standard charges are. So again, we've got a lot of information to share with consumers and potential champions in the future of how to break down energy bills and how to pick out the details and go through customers' utility bills and see if there are inaccuracies and what it might mean and how they can address it, and just to make sure they're on the right tariff, they're being charged for the right meter. Maybe there's an opportunity to move to a smart meter if there are problems with accessing and reading meters as well. And again, the priority service register can help assist those that meet certain terms and conditions to get a bit of extra support there. And I'm going to move on now. Again, I've touched on this previously about signs of fuel poverty. So we're looking at, does the home feel cold? Does it feel drafty? What is the heating? Is it central heating? Is it night radiators? Is it modern? Does it need updating? When was it last updated? Are there signs of mold, peeling wallpaper, cracks, again, moisture or condensation building up on windows? We're looking at how the appliances and the heating elements are kept. Does it build up dust? Are they blocked? Is furniture in the way of radiators? Is there a fridge in front of a window? Things like that can affect household bills. And again, we're looking at how to look at the wider picture as well and understand if there's anything else going on in an individual's life that we can try and address and signpost to. And here on the next chapter of the presentation, we go through behaviour change at home and how to access energy advice and how to get the best of what you need from the organisations and individuals you might come into contact with or refer to. So we're looking at increasing consumer confidence and empowering them with knowledge to ensure that they're able to deal confidently with issues and they understand their rights. If there are problems, they feel confident with knowing what the steps are to address them, how to address the ombudsman, how to address your energy provider. Is it something that you do, you take an approach with the national grid, or is it the supplier? So just, yeah, really understanding an individual's needs by listening to their situation and their circumstances. And I think I explained a little bit about the priority service register. There are particular terms and conditions to meet the registers, but it does mean that if you do, you're able to get a bit of extra support from the energy companies. So for example, if you have children under 5, or if you're pregnant, if you're pension age, if you're recovering from long-term injury, or you've got a particular health condition, you might be able to join the service register there. The warm home discount, a lot of individuals now on universal credit or income-based welfare have this payment to them automatically, but not everybody does because of the way that the benefit system operates. There are new terms, and I think it's always worth making sure that users are aware of the warm home discount, if they are in receipt of it, and how to check if they're entitled to it. Again, understanding their bills, what type of meter they have. Is it an imperial meter? Is it a smart meter? Is it the right meter addressed to their property? And again, how to switch tariff, have a look into service providers and making sure it's done in a accredited way through the Ofgem service there. And at the minute, citizens' advice they aren't giving the information to people to switch, but they want them to be able to understand how to switch. And again, on occasions, it is a good way to maximise income. And for example, if you have your gas energy, you've got maybe your mobile phone contract, if you've got in broadband and internet, if you can consolidate that, I'm just giving you one example here, to one company, you can potentially save hundreds of pounds a year. And so it's always worth having a look on the market, comparing different providers, understanding what your standard rates are and how they fluctuate between energy companies. And I think, again, knowing your tariff, is it fixed, is it variable, can you change onto a different tariff with the same supplier, and going through those steps with the consumer and the energy companies, and just making sure they're getting the best deal possible. So for example, one area you might be able to look at is your water rates. Are you paying the correct water rate? Are there any different changes that could be made? Would that save you money? Are you on the best phone deal? Could you shop around? Would you be able to save money there? So just trying to add on and maximize income by looking at other services that you are registered with. And yeah, just before any switching takes place, just making sure that you understand if there are any exit fees, what happens if you are in debt, how does the debt then transfer to another supplier. So we look at the terms and conditions with energy suppliers and tariffs, and making sure that you know, for the first 6 months, it might seem like a really good promotion to take up, but then thereafter, what are the consequences if you do switch, or if a consumer was to switch? So just making sure that those details are clear. And again, that enables the consumer to make their own choices and empower themselves with the knowledge of their understanding of tariffs and suppliers and energy company obligations. So again, some companies are obligated to offer the priority service register, to offer support for those families that have children under 5, things like that. And again, things that are accredited by Ofgem will make sure that what you are seeing is guaranteed information that's been addressed, you know, in the market, and the government are advocating those energy suppliers as, yeah, you can trust them and work with them, and they've been through the process of making sure everything's legit, and yeah, it's been monitored. Again, here's some examples of accredited comparison websites. We've got Utility Genius, the Energy Shop, USwitch, Quote Zone. These are all active links, so if you do receive the presentation at a later date, you'll be able to use those. And we can see there, that's the Ofgem logo, that's what you're looking for, this hallmark logo on websites, to make sure it is accredited in the right places through the right services. I won't go too much into switching energy supplies. You can see taking meter readings. You definitely need that at hand, because that's as well how you're going to determine if you are getting a better offer by having your meter readings. And it's really good practice to know what your annual or at least monthly outgoings are with kilowatts, and what your rates are, what you're actually using, as opposed to lots of bills tend to be estimated bills, which means that you're not getting a true reflection of your outgoings and usage there. And here we've got a little bit of information about prepayment meters, and if you will, money to your meter, how that's dealt with. And as you can see here, your supplier can stop a switch until you've paid off a debt, or you can contact the energy supplier and work out a payment plan, and that's something that they are obliged to do as well. And on this page, this gives you just a rough idea of how to switch safely and confidently. And it's always good to have these conversations over the telephone, but again, that can come with its limitations. So I think finding the right channel, using online chats, emailing, anything that's going to make that contact easier. And I think lots of energy companies are offering online chats in which you get an answer straight away, and their callback times now are going up to sort of 10 p.m. at night, starting from 8 a.m. in the morning. Generally, you can get things sent to you by post. Lots of energy suppliers will have translator advisors, and I think breaking down the training that some of the energy companies have, again, it varies and doesn't necessarily mean that those bigger companies like EDF Energy, for example, or British Gas will be able to deal with complaints or queries any better than a new energy provider on the market. And from my experience working with consumers, they've sometimes had better communications with new energy providers and companies there. So again, just feeding back into how it is in reality, because as you both know, it's sometimes easy to say things and to come across as believable, and you're doing this and that, and we're listening to our consumers. But if in reality that's not happening, and for example, I'm meeting with a lot of consumers that aren't able to have their complaints or their issues addressed in the correct time frame as well, and that causes a lot of stress for individuals. There's a 21-day lead time, and it's taking sometimes over 3 months to get a reply, and yeah, for things to be escalated above an acknowledgement. So that's just an add-on to that, really. And here's a good way to understand your energy bill, making sure you're on the correct plan and tariff, that you have the information about any other tariffs that you might be able to switch to, what your actual energy consumption is, what the conditions of the contract are there exit fees, can you work out a payment plan with the energy supplier, and yeah, it's always good to start with the energy service provider and going through their channels just to find that information out. Some of it is easy to access online, but yeah, it's always worth, because feedback that I've had is when you start to open conversations, sometimes you're able to be offered more because they don't want you to leave. They don't want to lose a customer. And here we talk about disconnection, and energy suppliers generally can't disconnect customers anymore, and especially for those that are on prepayment meters. What they might try and do is have a prepayment meter installed at your property, but again, sometimes this has been forced on individuals and consumers, and sometimes a court order is necessary and required. So yeah, don't always assume what the energy service or energy provider is saying is matter of fact. Prepayment meters, we're looking at, yeah, here we're talking about self-disconnecting, and again, that comes to, can they afford to heat their home? Is there priorities in other areas? What's the size of their family? And again, it's reaching out to yeah, the correct sort of signposting organisations. I don't know if it's food bank charities, for example, if it's other community groups, any other warm home hubs, the green doctors, those types of individual organisations will help look at the bigger picture of an individual's circumstances. Yeah, I touched on the warm home discount a little bit. So we can see it's £150 during those winter months. And it's usually directly paid to those that are in receipt of benefits, and it's a payment that comes automatically. But again, not everybody is receiving this this discount, and not many people know if they're eligible. So contacting the energy providers is always a good way to find out, do my circumstances allow for this discount, which is a one-off £150 payment. Priority Service Register, again, there's a bit more information there. There's a link to the Ofgem's information around that. That's a live and active link. Again, if you want to know more about the Priority Service Register, register yourself. Maybe you know somebody in your community that you may feel like they need extra support there. So, for example, in my family, I was able to get my mum added to the priority service register while she was going through her cancer treatment, and her meter is in a very difficult place to reach without climbing ladders to get to the meter in the first place. So she was able to go onto the priority service register while she was going through her treatment to get a bit of extra support there and not have to worry about sending meter readings and topping up her meters. The energy service provider took that as a part of their responsibility while she was in need. So that's just an example for you there, how it might work. And yeah, some benefits here, how it can improve a person's welfare, and the reassurances that can come with being added to this register. Okay, we'll just touch on other schemes. I think I mentioned the energy company obligation, which most of the major energy suppliers will have an energy company obligation, and that will address a home's energy insufficiency. Are they working with local authorities to offer grants and schemes to improve homes? So maybe it's in wall insulation, loft insulation, green energy, so solar panels. So if you're a homeowner, that's something that the energy company obligation might be of benefit if you can get grants and schemes towards updating your home. And again, you'll be able to go through what they are doing to help individuals that are in need. Are they providing any other types of schemes themselves? So for example, the warm home discount is a national offer, but maybe British Gas have another supplementary scheme, and it means finding out through the ECO and contacting them, and again finding out if there's anything else they are doing to help tackle climate change, to help tackle fuel poverty, and to address inequalities. And yeah, that's just another bit of information about how the ECO works and what they're obligated to do, and how they work with energy suppliers to bring a cost change really, and make sure there are certain measures in place. Again, this is an example of some of the ECO energy company obligated suppliers. So I don't know if either of you can see your own energy supplier there. And mine is Octopus Energy, and
Mine is EDF.
EDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on there. Yeah.
I think ours is Ovo.
Yeah. So for me, I've been able to understand how Octopus Energy are becoming more renewable and greener with their production and supplying to the markets really, who's buying, and it's a bit more transparent with where your money goes and what it's being spent on really, and is it ethical? Are they helping community groups? Are they funding causes and trying to make positive changes? So yeah, the ECO is quite good in finding out those types of information as well, if you want to be more active with your knowledge around energy consumption. And I think for me, I definitely felt like I was with a great company, which were Bulb, and then Bulb went into administration, and now it's in the hands of Octopus. So if anybody else has experienced an energy company going into administration and being in that limbo period, should I move, should I stay, my account's in credit, what are Octopus going to do with my credit? So yeah, it really helped me access that kind of information and feel secure with the change, because it was out of my control. So that's just my own reflecting on my own circumstances there. And again, it goes to more depth about the eligibility. So here we can see some of the types of requirements. So we've got income-based job seekers allowance, armed forces independence payment. So it's worth looking at your own situation, circumstances or that of the consumer to see if the ECO applies to them. And again here, if you're living at the bottom, it's just clarifying that if you live in social housing with an EPC rating, so when we were looking at the graph of A to G, a G being the worst, you might be able to apply for a scheme, and your council or social home will have an obligation to adhere to any changes that have been put forward. And yeah, we're just talking through the application process. Again, we've got some links there. So the simple energy advice, that is a citizen's advice account, and it's going to cover all of the information that I'm touching on today in more detail, and it will be up to date, and all the information would have gone through the correct channels there. And the next section of the presentation is about individuals taking control, really, and things they can do at home. And here we're looking at trying to encourage people to turn off things by the PowerPoints, and to get out of the habit of leaving things on standby. And we've got a little infographic there of the things that use the most energy when they are on standby. Now, I'm definitely guilty of leaving my modem on. You know, I've come to work today and I don't think I've remembered to turn it off. So it's at home, it's on, it's using electricity for no purpose, you know. And I think, again, I was doing some work last night, so my laptop, you know, I'm not into these habits myself yet, and it's something I'm working on and just getting into that changed behaviour, really. And I don't know if either of you have got things that you leave on standby. If you charge phones overnight, you know, is there a better way of increasing your cell phone or your mobile battery? Could you charge it in the morning? Could you set, you know, an alarm to remind you to do it at a different time? Could you carry a portable power bank, you know, and charge that at a different time? So we're just looking at, are there things just from this list that we could do differently? And yeah, when things are in standby mode, they're generally using the same amount of energy. And here you can see a percentage, and that's 25% of energy being used when it really could be saved. So as I touched on earlier with some of the YouTube demonstration videos, this slide has those types of videos on YouTube, how to set your thermostat of your boiler. You know, as standard, they come set at 80 degrees Celsius, and 60 degrees is sufficient enough, and that's the 20 degrees Celsius change there. And you're still at 60, you're still able to, you know, kill bacteria, you're still able to clean well, and just that alone will save hundreds of pounds a year by changing it from 80 to 60. So there's some videos on YouTube that can explain how to do that. And again, if you've got a thermostat at home, just by turning down 1 degree Celsius, you'll be saving around £60 a year. So if you can save £60 by reducing your heating by 1 degree, just imagine what you'll save on your boiler by changing it from 80 to 60. And again, making sure we are closing our curtains at night, that we've got good quality curtains that sometimes have thermal backings. There's no large gaps around them, that they're fitted properly. And is there anything else you could do? Could you add blinds? Could you add netting to the window dressing as well? Making sure we're turning off lights when we leave the room. And on the next slide, yeah, we've spoken about standby and the impact that can have on our bills and charging things unnecessarily. And again, we're going to go into habits around the home. Washing machine, are you washing things at 30 or below? Are you using the correct detergents? Are you making sure your appliances don't have a buildup of the word's gone out of my head right now, buildup of, I can't think what the word is. I might come back to that if it comes.
Scale.
That's it, yes, lime scale, yes. So for me at home, I have a little aluminium ball that's in my kettle. And every time I use my kettle, I just make sure I've got the aluminium ball in, and it stops the buildup of lime scale. And that was something that cost me £2. And yeah, every now and again, I might do a sort of deep clean with some chemicals provided off the shelf. Yeah, I just make sure my fridge is not got things on top of it, that it's got enough ventilation to breathe, that any dust is being cleaned down, especially down the back and those hard to reach places. And one way I can check my fridge seals is that I put in a piece of paper, and if I'm able to pull it out easily, then I know that the seals are getting a bit loose or are not working as efficiently. So I can address that as well. Any drips and leaks in the taps. So in my bathroom, I've got a leaky tap from my bath. So, you know, I'm addressing that as well, because that's just wasting money. And I think leaks, yeah, we generally can overlook them. And if you are in a council property, that's something that they can come out and fix quite easily, and they're obliged to fix that as well. And yeah, we just make sure we're looking at using energy saving light bulbs. It might seem like an investment to begin with, but it will save you over time. And some organisations are offering household free energy saving light bulbs. So it's worth just going around your home and, you know, seeing and counting if you can make any changes there as well. Again, this just goes over maintenance of the fridge, how to store your food well inside, how to avoid any space that's being, you know, when you open the fridge, is the warm air just sitting in a lot of space? Can I fill it? So what I do when my fridge is not full, I've got containers that I use and that have water in them. So old milk bottles, I keep old containers, and I put those in my fridge when it's not being used to capacity. And I just make sure that my temperature is set correctly. Same with the freezer. Is the type of food that I'm keeping correct at the right temperature? And yeah, we're just talking about defrosting and just making sure that appliance is being used efficiently. Same with the oven. A few tips here. You know, can you see through the oven glass? Can you check on your food without having to open the door? Is your lights working? Are there any faults? You know, is anything broken? Does the thermometer work properly? So yeah, so just giving our appliances an MOT and making sure we are maintaining its effectiveness. And again, on the stove, we're looking at if individuals are using the right size pan, are they using lids, are they using too much water to boil vegetables, pasta, rice, you know, do we cook well with our appliances? And again, we can, you know, have a conversation about that. We can find out what their habits are with cooking. Could they use a slow cooker? You know, would that help them with using, again, a nighttime rate, using a slow cooker overnight? You know, what time does their day rate start? Do they get up earlier to do cooking and prepare for the week? So yeah, so we just talk about habits in the kitchen, what their equipment's like, and we have a look to see if there are any changes that can be made there. This is a page that explains some online resources, and it will open up to some links there. So how to draft proof your home, how to check your boiler, is it set at the correct temperature, is it modern, are there any schemes out there, and again, boiler operating video. So is it on eco setting? Do you know what that means? When the house is, so for example, when people go away, are they switching off their boiler at the PowerPoint, or are they putting it on a special program? So yeah, so those types of resources are there, and Age UK got some great ones as well. And further support, I don't know if, I suppose your organisation is in North London, am I correct? So here we're looking at Centre 70. These are mostly tariffs grants is really good. Yeah, again, you can check for eligibility and very current and up-to-date information. Lots of councils, yeah, provide directories online now to connect with other organisations. So here we've got just a Lambeth Ladder, for example. What else you can find out there? Financial assistance, mental health and wellbeing, debt. So that's further support. And I think that is the end of my presentation, I believe. Oh, yeah, a bit more, sorry. A bit more about grants and benefits. Again, I've got a link there to citizens advice to make sure you're getting the correct information, up-to-date information, a bit more about what you can seek when you go and touch base and connect with other organisations. Do they know about the cold weather payments? Are they aware of fuel vouchers? Do they understand the energy company obligation scheme? And yes, the National Energy Action Group, again, a great organisation, really supportive and helpful. And when there are cases that are more complex and presenting different types of needs, a really great place to touch base with. Shine London, another fuel poverty action group, make referrals, do home visits. They work with green doctors as well.
Oh, Esther, are you still there?
I think she's
I don't know. Esther, can you hear us? I think her connection may have gone.
going to stop the recording.
Oh, no, she's gone. She might join back on.
Yeah, just stop the recording then.
Okay.
Still recording.